Do we typically gain more personal power when we get older? Why or why not? That was an interesting question that was posed. What do you
Yeah,
think, Edwin?
yeah. Thank you there. I think that as we get older, I think we just get more comfortable with ourselves, right? I think that we understand ourselves a whole lot better, and so we're able to, uh, do we gain more personal power? Maybe, right? Because we're more comfortable. We're more familiar with ourselves. We're more familiar with our environment. We know what we don't know, uh, and we accommodate that a little bit better. And any like as human beings, if we're in a situation where or situations where we're uncomfortable or situations where we're not necessarily present, then then we figure out ways to sort of not necessarily um, we figure out ways in order to move ourselves or bend ourselves into that environment or into that situation. So I this is an interesting question. I think that we do gain more personal power as we get older, and I think it's because of experience. But that's my
Mm.
thought.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, personal power, according to the book, right? Amy Cuddy kind of gave a definition that we are able to, or less being dominant by others, right? We have the ability to decide things for ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, and and I think so that we do gain more personal power as we get older because of the fact that the way I would think of it is that we don't really care about what other people think of us,
Mhm.
right? Is that maybe we have gone through different situations, we have made enough mistakes, and hopefully learn from them. We have gained more knowledge about our environment. We like you say, Edwin, we know ourselves better, what we want. Um, I don't know. Sometimes sometimes others look at uh, if you see an elderly person, at least for myself, I will pay more attention to them, because in my mind, like, they have all this vast knowledge that I hopefully I can get from them, right? It doesn't matter whether I know the person or not. It's like, oh, this is an elderly person and he wants to share some of his or her experience. Maybe I should listen, right? Maybe a little bit of those as well. And so towards that person who is a little bit older, maybe he or she can feel that, hey, I have more personal power.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Interesting you bring up age, Simon, and wisdom as we grow older, because we, in North America at least, and in Western society, there tends to be wisdom and age isn't necessarily valued. And this is something that Amy Cuddy brings in, this difference between, she doesn't talk about the sort of age component, but she does talk about social power versus personal power. And social power is this power over construct versus personal power, which is a power to, that's inherent. There's no scarcity. It is always there for us to resource, versus social power, which is acquired. And I think what could happen as we get older is that we lean into social power and the acquisition of it. And in that
Mhm.
sense, we give up a component of our personal power, or perhaps we do not value the acquisition or leaning into a sense of our own personal power, not an acquisition, but more of a cultivation of our own personal power, as much as we value the acquisition of social power. So I think it depends on who you are. Certainly, I can talk from my own experience that, I don't feel like I have this incredible amount of social power, but I feel that as I've gotten older, that I've leaned more into my personal power, which is something that's, cannot be given to me or taken away. So, it really, I think, depends on who you are and what you value. And as Edwin was speaking, one of the things that landed back in me was to go back into the book And Amy Cuddy quotes Howard Thurman. I'm going to read the quote. He says, "There is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourselves. It is the only true guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the ends of strings that someone else pulls."
Mm.
And when I had read that, that was like a oof moment that, we have a choice. We can either spend our lives sort of, being dependent on our own validation as being connected to what other people think of us, other people's judgments, or we can sit in these moments and not be judgmental of ourselves, and that through that we find our own personal power. But that's tough. I think that's an ongoing practice.
I guess the other, on the flip side is, hopefully for the younger audience of ours, is something to think about as well, right? Knowing that you might gain more personal power as you get older, but what can they do at this point, right? If they are, I don't know, just finish college, coming out into the workforce. There's definitely, the book will provide a lot of tips, right, on how to be more present, thus gaining more personal power in the process. But also at the same time, I would say having personal power doesn't mean that you being not recognizing that some of the wisdoms that others can provide, right? Keep an open mind of other, be humble, I guess would be another way to look at it, is to learn as you grow, and hopefully, you will have that more personal power and able to give back to the younger generation down the road as well.
Yeah, I think that one of the tough things is that as we grow up, we're in systems where the judgment of other people matters, right? If we're in academia throughout our school careers, it matters what our teachers think and what our classmates think. It particularly as we collaborate, it's a grade-based system, right? What we present, it depends on what our teachers or professors, their own personalities, and how we reflect the knowledge back to them. So sometimes we're coming in and out of our own power into like a social power or into an acquisition type of mindset where there are a lot of judgments around us, that it's difficult to suspend judgment within that construct. So I think and then you enter a capitalist system, which also has its own sense of power. And one of the things that I kept on going back to is the word power. It's almost like we need to relanguage that word. For me, it means it is connected to value, it's connected to strength and this almost immutable self, where there's a softer side to presence and power as well.